Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is Moby's 1992 self-titled record named Moby. I guess that would be a self-titled, would be his own name, right? This came out in 1992 on Instinct Records. Got some little fishies there. Doesn't really go with the artwork at all, does it? But that's the time, So, wow, when I think about this album, Um, this is kind of the origins of Moby. I think I got this record probably around 1993, just maybe a year after. Maybe it was that year. Um, I don't know. Good memories of rave music in that time. It's kind of interesting because I was listening back to this album today, and it wasn't the first time I've heard this recently. I did play most of the songs recently I think when I did a recent Moby video, just an overview on his discography a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was like a month ago, I happened to put this on and just kind of go through his a lot of his music and just surprised how much music that of his that I like, and it always kind of surprises me. I know I was a big fan of Moby at the time, but I mean, when there was the course of like 1990 to like 90, I don't know, 96, 95. 96 probably, because I mean it's just so much music, so much good music, and a lot of it was kind of ravey, a lot of it was ambient, but I enjoy the melancholiness and the minimalism, and of course the rave. Also I like all the styles of Moby. Really, just it's just after that he kind of turned into doing a lot of seems like making what turned out to be a lot of jingles, but I don't know if they were necessarily jingles in a way because they're just used so much for advertising and stuff like that. But just kind of lost the rave music in a while. It just kind of became electronic music. And then there was the ambient music wasn't as deep as it used to be. It wasn't as minimalism. It wasn't as abstract as like ambient. And for those reasons, I kind of stopped listening to them for the most part. But every year, couple of years or so, I kind of like he'll bring out something new, and then I'll catch up, and then just a couple of years later, I think there was one time I was like maybe like 5 years late, and especially after Hotel, like I didn't get made. We were all made of the stars. I didn't get any of the singles. I didn't get any of the album. I was just so turned off by Moby. Then after Play, I just didn't buy it, and then I heard Hotel was good, and then I heard there was a Hotel ambient record, so I bought both, of course. Kind of got back into him. I appreciated the direction he was going. There was some good music in there and stuff like that. And then I think I got the Voodoo Child, the second Voodoo Child record. I think it was called Monkey. Got that CD, and then kind of disappeared for a couple of years. And then I got the Last Night and the remix probably around like 2009, a couple of years after it came out. And then I started heard Wait for Me maybe like in 2012, a couple years after. And then I heard Destroyed a couple years after that, like 2014, maybe 2012, maybe around when it came out. And then after that, it was definitely a long break, maybe like 5 years. And then I heard he put out a larger ambient record, like unreleased ambient stuff, and that kind of got me interested. And then I kind of caught up to the last couple albums. And then recently, like 2 months ago, I heard his very last album with all the collaborations and stuff like that. And there's a couple good tracks, but that's the kind of thing as why I don't really kind of pay attention too much. I mean, I'll like a couple tracks. I'll know I'll probably like a couple tracks, because he has his signature formula, and you can always tell Moby strings and Moby seems like you can always tell like a Moby melody for sure. Um, Sorry, it seems like my computer's getting hot. But just not, I mean, just kind of lackluster. I'm always gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna like one song or two, and then the rest will be like whatever, and then I'll be frustrated, and I'm kind of tired of kind of going through that. Um, it just I wish I could stick Moby in a room with all his old equipment and tell him to write and ask him to write him a minimal ambient techno record and just kind of then I'd be happy. Something like the first Voodoo Child, something like the first, something like ambient, something like his early remixes, stuff like that. But yeah, gonna review Moby, his first album, and kind of go from there, track by track. Let's gonna review it and then give each track a score, and then give the overall a score. So first song, Drop a Beat, right? It's funny I lost a single for that recently. It's a fun track, kind of classic rave sounds. You know, it's got the whistle in it, the keyboard stabs, the vocal, sample. You know, it's got all the kind of classic rave kind of you know elements into it, and it works really well. It's a good it's a good rave song. Um, I do like the remix a lot better. The deep remix, I really like that remix a lot better because it needs that melody break, and this original version doesn't have a melody break in it, and really isn't that moody. It's kind of straightforward, and that's kind of probably why it's the lead song on the album. Kind of gets right into it. But I'm reviewing this track, this version here, since it's part of the album. So I got 2.5 stars, so right in between good and very good. I feel like I would probably give this a 2 or 2.25 star, but I do have a lot of memories with the song, so I felt like a 2.5 stars is a little more reasonable. Based on how much I do like the song, if it was the deep remix, probably 3.5 stars. And then we got everything, ravey. The piano is so good in this track. I mean, it's just like he has this like New York kind of rave house music sound, like of the time, and 1991, 92, and everything just kind of breaks into that. And with the keyboard, it's just like it's so epic. I like the second half of the song where it gets a little darker. The sample's really good. It's one of the stronger songs on the album. I think it's quite underrated considering the more popular songs on here. I have it 3.5 stars, so really very strong song. And then track 3 is called Yeah. It's kind of Moby kind of doing a little bit more minimalism with it. Some cool sounds in here. The chorus is a bit repetitive. It's a little long at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, but I really like it. It's funny when I say something's too long, but then if I like it and it's 12 minutes, I don't care. But there's some things that maybe shouldn't go on forever, and if you know the song called Yeah, it's just yeah, and then it probably if you probably edited all parts of that, it would probably go on for 2 minutes of the 5 minutes and 50 seconds. It just goes on way too long overall, but I still think it's a good track, and I like the minimalism of it. Just I think if it didn't have that yeah in it, it would probably be a little bit better on the minimalism side, and I wouldn't mind if it went on so long. But it's still I have it in between good and very good. That's just a small critique of being a little repetitive and long, but overall I like it. The sounds are really cool, bass line and stuff like that. I got 2.5 stars. Electricity, obviously another really ravey one. It's got a rave siren. Um, Rave siren was so huge back in the day. They're whoop whoop. Um, the the part is really cool with the bass line and the keyboard. Not too much to say about it though. I got 2.25 songs, a little bit better than good, but it's a strong song. Then you got classic. Next is the E, one of his probably most classic rave tracks. I'm a little surprised Voodoo Child isn't on this album, even though it was probably a year before and under a different name. I mean, it was such a big hit. Like you would think that he would be pressured, or maybe felt like he should put Voodoo Child in here, even though it wasn't under Moby's name. But this album's pretty jam packed with other rave songs, so I get it. But it's strange that Voodoo Child is not on here. But Next to the E is just one of his most classic rave tracks. It's right up there with obviously Go, and Voodoo Child and Drop a Beat. Like it's, you know, I mean, he had 4 or 5 huge rave tracks early on, like in the first 2 years of his career, like just huge tracks. Next to the E is really addictive breakbeat. The voice samples, there's quite a few different samples in it, maybe like 3 or 4 different samples that go through pretty much the whole. Every time there's a change, there's a new sample in it. There's like 4 of them, and they sort of keep, every time the changes, it starts back up with that sample. And one of them is obviously Next is the E, that sample. And it's such a classic track. It's just, I mean, it's a perfect rave track in some ways. I got it 4 and a quarter song, 4 and a quarter stars. What's crazy is I even like, there's a remix called I Feel It, and that remix I even like better in some ways. Although this one's got more energy and it's more concise and more streamlined. I feel it. The remix, I feel like it's even better in some ways. And it's probably because of the hook of the track, but I don't know if I'd rate that one better. I'd have to hear them next to side by side, but I love that remix. And but when I heard the original song, I'm just like, man, this is so classic too. It's impossible not to give this track 4 stars in many ways. And I got it 4 and a quarter stars, just a all time classic for sure. Um, Mercy. I think this song is really underrated as well. This is more the style of Moby that I really like. It's ominous. There's a deeper melody. It's kind of moody. It's got some ravey percussion. It's just what I mean. Like this is the kind of Moby that I like, and I got it 3 and 3/4 stars. It's my probably my fourth favorite on the album. Just really strong song and really underrated. And then you have Go. Here's the Go remixes here. Here's the original Wood Tick version, which I believe is the version on here. Um, just an amazing song. I mean, what can you say about that? This song is, you know, it's just when I heard it, I was like, am I really going to give this 5 stars? But it is kind of the perfect rave track. I mean, it's and I think when you like, this album, which I don't know if you've heard it, it's a double album, but the whole second CD, it's about 73 minutes. I think there's about 12 different versions of 14 different versions of Go on here. By 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 the way, this the other side is the version that has the good remixes on here collected. If you don't buy the singles, this has the I Feel It remix. This has a good Voodoo Child remix, and this has that deep remix for Drop a Beat, and it also has the Aqua mix of Mobility, and then also the Feel It, the synth remix of I Feel It. Yeah, so it's a really strong remix. But I mean, when you hear, I mean, the thing, I think that thing that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, 4 and a quarter. I mean, 4.5 stars. I could see it, for sure 4.5. But then I was like, what rave song is better than Go? And then when you factor in the importance of it, I love melody, and then really the minimalism of it. And then I started to think of the remixes, and I'm like, I used to listen to, and I know I could still listen to 14 straight remixes of it and not be bored because they're so different and unique. But they all kind of come from that original remix. So, um, oh, by the way, this was the next is the E single. I didn't show that on the last one or 2 tracks before. Um, but when I can because the original version, I think it was on the side of Mobility. His first record was a very minimal track, and then if you hear him and he explains kind of how he started messing with the track a little bit more and sort of working more with the melody. And I can't remember. I think the original one doesn't even have the. Well, I think the original version is the subliminal version, or uh, I think it's track 6 on here, if I remember correctly. Barracuda mix, maybe? Um, might be the subliminal mix, but I'm not sure. But it's just very minimal and raw. It's just more about the beat and the structure of it. Everything is very concise and it's very kind of a lot darker. Not a lot darker, but definitely darker. And you went back and rearranged it and made this wood tick version, and it kind of blew up again. I think this version, this has the rainforest version, which is really strong, and the video mix and the analog mix. I think this is the UK version, UK remixes. But this record, I mean, I can't imagine how many copies that go sold. I think it was on RNS Records too, maybe even, or it was picked up on a few labels. I mean, this version's on. Was this version on Instinct? Yeah, so this version's on Instinct, but I think it was on Low Spirit, right? Yeah, this one's on Outer Rhythm and Instinct. So I mean, just a huge track. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it sold 50, maybe 100,000 copies. That's a huge, for a rave album in that time. That's fucking huge. Excuse my language. Um, but yeah, I give it 5 stars. I mean, this song is so important to rave music. It's got a good groove. It's subdued. It's almost strange to analyze it because it's just so. It's go. You know what I mean? It's like. But when I factored in the remix, I was like, man, I can hear this song for an hour and a half, and I've heard it an hour and a half like plenty of times, like, and all the remixes. I was like, yeah, this is probably a 5 star track if there was ever one for a rave. And that doesn't mean that necessarily it's my favorite rave track of all time. And there's something that isn't 4.5 stars that probably passes it. I just feel like there's like a half star in here, maybe even 3/4 stars that I'm giving it additional because to get it to 5 stars because I feel like it's such an important song and it's hard for me to. There's some tracks. Well, there's gonna be quite a few tracks where it's hard to take my personal opinion out of it, my experience with it, and stuff like that. And this is kind of one of them. But again, it's not my. If I did my top 10 Moby tracks, this wouldn't be in it. That's how much good Moby music there is in it, and I like his ambient music even more. So I know that it'll mostly be ambient music in here, but I don't think Go would be in the top 10. It may be in the top 10, but definitely not in the top 5. Then you gotta Help Me to Believe. It's a good melody, lots of good sounds, pretty basic. Goes on a little too long. It's like 6.5 minutes, but I really like it. I'm always kind of surprised how much I forget about this song when I play this album. I got it very good. I got 3 stars. And then track number 9, Have You Seen My Baby? I love the sample on this. The rave claps. Oh, the rave claps. How I love the rave claps. If you don't know what a rave clap is, it's basically just a snare that has a huge echo on it. It's like, it's not, I don't know if it's reversed or if it's like echo, but it's like a cha. And there was a lot of techno and a lot of ambient techno. I just take that back. A lot of techno and a lot of trance and a lot of uh, and some hardcore music that sort of had that cha. And I love that sound. It just throws off the rhythm. It's great. Um, this is full on rave right here. Cool beat. It's almost between breakbeat and hardcore techno. Unfortunately, it doesn't really go to where, but it is solid. I do have it as good. And then an interesting one. Excuse me. Sorry, might be coming down with a cold. Excuse me. I'm drinking some cold coffee with some ice, some iced homebrewed coffee. Track number 10. It has a good sample on it, but it's kind of catchy. It's funny when I was playing this, I was like, this is probably gonna be like a 1. This might be the worst track on the album. And then I gave it some more time, and the breakbeat is cool, and then a couple other parts are. It's way too manic, but there's some good parts of the song, and I kind of settled on good at 2 stars. Like it kind of, it's the least liked song on the album, tied with "Have You Seen My Baby," but I still have it a good song. There's no song on here that's really under good for me. Then the last 2 songs kind of end on a kind of a traditional ambient way for Moby. Slight Return, track number 11. It has some nice melodic sounds, cool deeper notes in the bass. It's more my style of Moby for sure. I got it 3.25 stars. Pretty strong. And then the last track is one of my favorite, and my second favorite on here. Sorry, third favorite. It's called Stream. It's just really eerie. It's very basic, just over 3 minutes. Very basic, but man, the sounds in it are phenomenal. It's like the water drums. It's just magical, kind of ambient, kind of end of the night. It fades out. Perfect kind of eerie magic. It's kind of mystical sounding. It was very basic, but it's just something about it. Just the memories of it, and it ending this album, and just a lot of early Moby ambient stuff that I really love a lot, and this is one of them. So yeah, when I'm looking over at the album, really a lot stronger than I thought it was. I have one 5 star song, which is amazing. I got 2 4 stars songs in next to the E and Stream, and then four very good songs, and then 5 in the two in the good to very good range. So when you add up all the stars, 38 out of 38 stars divided by 12 songs is 3.16. So right in that, is that pi? 3.16? Or is it 3.14? Yeah. What is pi? Is it 3.14? Um, anyways, but just the overall good about this album. I'm not going to drag this on very long. I got to say what I want about the songs, and that's kind of important. But a little bit of the overall view. I mean, the good about it. You got Go. I mean, and some of his classic rave songs, and then we got the early beginnings of some of his ambient stuff. A little bit of a touch of minimalism. All the songs are really catchy. Some great rave memories in here, and nothing's horrible at all. Nothing's even subpar. Nothing's you know nothing's nothing's bad on here. Um, as far as the bad, some might say it's might sound a little dated. I do think it maybe lacks a little bit of atmosphere. I do think it's mixed well, and I still feel like not. It could be more dynamic, but it's 1992, so I get that. But I just feel like it lacks a little bit of atmosphere. On some songs, they're all pretty straightforward. But man, 3.16 is a really strong per song stars per song average. That's really that's above very good, and this is a lot stronger album than I thought. Really, kind of coming back to this, I felt like there was a couple duds that might take it back, and excuse me. And that's what's so important. Like if you get through an album without a track being like 1 star or even as low as 0 stars, I mean, it's so important for the average stars when I factor out the ranking of the song and the stars and kind of balance that with where I feel like the overall score should be. Um, and this one's right in line. I got it three. I got 76 out of 100. On the right on the edge of very good, close to being excellent. I just feel like maybe is 12 songs too much? I don't think so. On this, most of them are like 4 minute songs. There's 3 that are kind of going into 5 minutes, but there's a couple in 3 minutes. So this album pretty balances out to be about probably around 48 minutes. So not too bad for a dance album with 12 songs. And it's got a good mix of stuff. I mean, it's got some samples, it's got some rave stuff, it's got some sort of hardcore, it's got a little bit of trance, got some moody stuff, got some ambient stuff. Um, it has all the elements of a good early 1992 techno album, and Yeah, really, I'm surprised to rate it this high to 76, but I'm not fully surprised, but I just there's really the thing that really helps it is there's no subpar songs. There's no songs that aren't good on here. They're at least 2 stars, and that really helps the average, and it helps me push it into the higher 70s. Do I feel like I could get to the 80? No, it's just it's gotta if it maybe dropped 2 rave songs and it had something like off ambient, like there was a year later, like something like Heaven or My Beautiful Blue Skies or something like that, like something a little bit deeper. I could see this being into the 80s, but it's still pretty raw, and in some ways, even though it does have a lot of different styles, it is kind of singular in the atmosphere kind of element. But there's a lot of catchiness into it. But I think if the other thing is kind of like, even as much as I take my opinion because it is my rating, like I do kind of think about how somebody else might view this, and I could see how somebody would think, if they hadn't heard this, they wouldn't this, they would. I don't think they would give this a 76. It's just there's some things that are very like if you're a Moby fan, this might be a 76 fan. If you're not a Moby fan, then I could see this not being a 76 fan, a 76. Like, but does that affect my score of what other people might think? No, but I take into account that I'm not being overly and take it even higher. It's sort of it's kind of grounding me to be reasonable and be like, okay, don't get too excited. It's got a, I mean, it's got 7 songs out of 12 that are above very good, which is above 3 stars. That's 60% of the songs are very good. That's really strong, and so then of course I have the album very good, but I still have it on the higher side of very good. Close to excellent, and just a few, maybe a song or two away from being excellent, really close. But then again, what album isn't a song or two? What near great album isn't a song or two away, right? But yeah, what's your thoughts on Moby's first album? What would be your ranking out of 100? And what's your top 3 favorite songs? Mine are Go, Next is the E, and Stream. All right, thanks so much for watching.